thought everyone had to check their mattress for cockroaches before lying down until I was 15 years old and went to someone else's house for the first time. My morning routine involved shaking out my shoes because mice nested in them overnight. I also had to brush maggots off my backpack because the smell of rotting meat from somewhere deep in the house attracted flies that laid eggs on everything. The path to the bathroom required stepping on compressed newspapers that squished with mystery liquids that had been leaking from garbage bags since 2011. Sometimes I'd hear crunching when I accidentally stepped on the bones of one of our cats that died and got buried under trash before anyone noticed. My breakfast came from sealed packages, only because I once almost ate cereal that was full of ants. A lot of the time I had to pee in bottles because the path to the toilet got blocked by the collapsing mountain of adult diapers my mother bought in bulk. Nobody in our house needed them, but she insisted they'd be worth money during the next pandemic. When Parker transferred to our school and picked me to be his history partner, I tried to convince him to switch. I knew eventually he'd want to meet outside school, but he had already turned in the paper with our names and said it would be too much hassle to change it now. He kept pushing to work at my house until I finally made up this whole story about my grandmother being sick. I said that she was super contagious and had something doctors couldn't figure out. He suggested his place instead, and even offered to pick me up so I wouldn't have to take a bus. I said the bus didn't run to his neighborhood, even though really I just didn't want to trap him in a car with my smell. I'd been washing my clothes in the bathroom sink at school with the pink hand soap and drying them under the hand dryer, but the smell of decomposition and ammonia had gotten into the fabric permanently. Walking into his house broke my brain because my eyes didn't know what to do with all of the empty floor space. It took me like 10 seconds to realize those white things were actual walls that didn't have brown roach stains, water damage, and black streaks from whatever gross fungus was eating our house from the inside. His kitchen had a table with nothing on it, just empty space where people could put plates and eat food like normal people. When he opened a cabinet, there were dishes stacked all neat instead of falling out in this avalanche of broken stuff and mouse poop. He pulled out 2 clean glasses without having to wash them first or check for dead bugs inside. The refrigerator opened without having to throw your whole body against it because the seal wasn't broken from years of nasty rot. Inside were leftovers in containers with actual lids and vegetables that were green like they're supposed to be instead of brown liquid in plastic bags. The milk was just milk, not chunks floating in yellow water. When he said, "God, my mom is such a neat freak. It's honestly embarrassing how she makes me clean my room every single day." While pointing at a bedroom that looked like something from a movie, I made this weird choking sound like an animal being strangled. I started crying so hard, I puked on his clean carpet. He got me water in a glass that didn't even have gross film on it and helped me to his bathroom where I could wash my face in a sink that was white, not brown. The sink had regular water that didn't smell like rotten eggs. When I finally stopped crying, he just said, "You can come here whenever you need to," without asking why seeing a normal house made me completely lose it. When his mom drove me home later, I tried to get her to stop at the corner, but she insisted on taking me to my actual house because it was getting dark. When we pulled up to my place, I saw Parker and his mom staring at the newspapers covering every window from inside. They saw all of the shopping carts my mother stole from grocery stores rusted and piled in the yard, and the dead tree covered in moldy plastic bags she hung to dry so she could use them again, even though they were covered in mold and bird crap. Parker's mom tried to hide it, but I could see she was horrified. Parker grabbed my arm before I got out and whispered, "My mom says you can stay at our house whenever you need to," and I knew they understood everything without me having to explain. I thanked them both and ran inside, being careful to not open the door enough for them to see the disaster inside. That night, while my mother was passed out, I started with one corner of my room and filled a trash bag with obvious garbage, including food wrappers from when I was in elementary school, and tissues so old they turned to dust when I touched them. My mother screamed at me when she noticed things were missing, but I kept going.